So, yesterday the new iPad Pro was announced, and it's gonna be available in 7 days. I'm of course forever excited about that because, as you know, current generation of iPad Pro is the thing that I'm using the most for any artwork I do, for work or personal projects. It's just always this thing, it's perfect. For simply painting and drawing, this thing is much better than anything I can come up with my desktop setup. So I was watching the stream of the Apple presentation yesterday. Yeah, they announced two new sizes, 11-inch and 12.9. And the 12.9, the one that I have, the same display size, is gonna be noticeably smaller, which is really cool. They made it even thinner, which is one thing that really bummed me out, but I would never expect anything else from Apple. I mean, like, is this not slim enough to you? My phone, Nexus 5X, is 3 years old. It's thicker than this huge device. I have no problem with this thickness. It could be the same thing here, I wouldn't mind at all. And making it even slimmer, why not just keep it the same thickness but add more battery to it or something? I don't know. I guess that's just me. But whatever, I mean, I see where they're going with this. They're trying to turn iPad into pretty much a magical piece of paper. So their future concept for it is pretty much completely slim, magical display that maybe will be foldable one day or something like that. The new Apple Pencil is really cool. The first generation is really losing to that now. In the new one, there will be no cap, no way or need to plug it in or anything. It's gonna be magnetically just sticking to iPad, so finally you'll have a place for it without a cover even. And while it's magnetically connected, it's gonna be charging wirelessly. Pretty awesome. Plus, it's not gonna be completely round the way this one is. So one side will be slightly flat, so it's not gonna be rolling on the table in all directions. And on top of that, they're actually adding a button. But it's not really a button, it's gonna be just a touch thing. So you double tap on it, and you can do some commands in any app. Amazing improvement. I don't know if the new pencil will be compatible with the 2017 iPad Pro. Would be awesome if it would, but probably not. Right? It actually uses a different technology for pairing. It's not a Bluetooth pairing thing anymore. So it's using the same kind of pairing as the AirBuds do, the wireless headphones from Apple. So yeah, there's that on the Pencil. Obviously a much more powerful processor inside. No one knows what that means. I don't know, it's probably a very mild improvement as it always was. So about the smaller bezels, I'm actually not super excited about that. It is really awesome. It's just so cool. You want it. You really want your iPad to look like that and not like this. This is uncool, right? But from the drawing perspective, it's not gonna be a big deal, but not being able to rest your hand on the edge of the display when you're trying to reach the interface or something, that's gonna be slightly less comfortable. Just a little thing. This is something I noticed when I tried working on iPad in vertical layout. That's where that bezel is exactly the way it's gonna be all around. The perimeter of the new iPad wasn't exactly comfortable, because being at the complete edge is not exactly perfect. A lot of the times I had to just keep my palm in air and only touch the display with a pencil. But that's a small thing, still a pretty cool display to have. Pretty cool proportions. Never heard a word about battery life or even its weight, actually, so it may not be lighter, I think. No home button means no fingerprint scanner, means there's gonna be Face ID. I never tried Face ID myself, so I'm not sure how well it's gonna work. This is gonna be a newer generation of Face ID that works better in all angles and everything, I suppose. Maybe with iPad it's gonna work well, but whatever, again, it's a small thing. And finally, the last big improvement is the fact that Thunderbolt right here is going to be replaced with Type-C USB, allowing you to connect the new iPad Pro to an external display up to 5K resolution. That's pretty cool. I don't have a display that would support that, but still. And also they said you can charge your iPhone from your iPad. And so I watched the whole presentation and I read some articles, and it seems, not only to me, that Apple is really trying to push their new iPad Pros as a big step towards replacing laptops with iPads. The new line of MacBooks was really cool. It had a lot of features that many users wanted, but it feels like it's just giving everything you want because there is not gonna be anything actually new introduced. And there wasn't. There was no actual innovation. It wasn't exciting. It was just a really good set of laptops. While iPad was really presented with a much more excitement from Apple. And anyway, it seems like we may have the last line of MacBooks presented yesterday. Maybe in the future there will be one more generation or something, but it's kind of getting pretty clear that soon iPads are gonna replace MacBooks. At least maybe to a certain extent for the nearest future, but this is an interesting direction. With the full version of Photoshop coming to iPad very soon and stuff like that. With Adobe's new editing software for iPad, that is gonna be improving with years and getting more complex and maybe eventually replacing Premiere at all. Premiere is the software that I'm using to edit this video right now. So yeah, the thing becomes more and more powerful and versatile with the keyboard cover or just a Bluetooth keyboard and the pencil. It pretty much gets to the point where it's maybe going to be a fully functional personal computer one day. And one thing that I noticed from the presentation that I haven't seen anyone actually connecting to what may happen in the next few years with the iPad is actually the new Mac Mini. This is very interesting. If you don't know, Mac Mini is like a little box, portable little piece of a computer without anything and just a lot of ports coming out of it. And so they promoted it a lot as something that you can connect to your new MacBook Pro to let it render a video or something while your MacBook is gonna be free doing whatever you want. So in a few years, imagine having the next generation of iPad Pro and the next generation of Mac Mini that will be connectable to it through Type-C USB, and you have all the horsepower you want connected to your iPad, just laying in your backpack in case you need to render something heavy. How cool is that? So I feel like that's the direction Apple is going for. Maybe in the next few years we'll see exactly that kind of setup. Not sure if I'm gonna get the new iPad, unless there will be a good option to exchange my current iPad and get the new one with a huge discount. That's usually a thing they do, right? I'm new to the whole Apple thing, so I may look into it and give it a try. So yeah, that's the talk on the new iPad. Really excited about it. As always, I'm really excited about the new drawing tablets, especially my favorite one being upgraded. For now, I'm completely happy with what I have, but that would be cool to have, especially considering whenever a new generation of devices coming out, all the software will start raising their performance necessity and some stuff may start lagging or something, so I don't know, for now it's fine, right? So these are my thoughts on the new iPad. What do you guys think? Are you gonna get the new iPad Pro? Do you already have the 2017 one and you're gonna switch to this 2018 version? The more compact form factor is actually a good thing when you think about taking it out of your backpack to just quickly draw. If it could be as smaller as possible when you do that, that would be great. So there's that for the Apple news. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about the whole Blender thing. Blender is something we've been using on this channel for a couple of weeks now, and I gotta say I'm really excited about it. Not just on the level of me loving the program, that's a given, but also I feel like this is what this channel is about. Like, I'm not actually just a painter. Although this channel was always about painting, and I do love having a painting as a final product. But it doesn't mean we have to stop there during the process, at the very least. And when I introduced Blender to the equation, I really felt like this is what I'm crazily passionate about right now. I want to find new ways. I want to use all the tools possible and challenge myself to make sure it all works together to create the best painting you can with the smallest amount of effort and time put into it. Not working hard, but working smart. And I really want to share this process for you guys to see your options, how you can improve your workflow with all kinds of tools. And we've had quite a lot of argument in the comments and whatever about like not using photos in a painting and stuff like that. Again, this argument came out of nowhere. I'm not against photo bashing in any way. It's just that right now we're working on a painting and I want it to stay being a painting. But just what I want to say right now is that maybe in the nearest future we will also try using photos and all kinds of stuff and find ways to implement it the way that it will work very naturally and really follow the idea. But you just have to find the right way, find the good pipeline for all of that to work. I still stand by my words. Whatever we'll create with implementing photos is not going to be 100% a painting. It just can't be. That's literally what painting is not when you're using photos, but that's okay. That's a digital image and that's good enough. Who said we need to specifically paint? And another thing that I'm actually even more excited about when using Blender and 3D guides and stuff like that on this channel while creating a painting is because I really think this is gonna be very helpful for you guys and for me to explain to you how the whole thing works, because all the cool stuff with borrow rendering that I know, with how lighting works, how to render reflected lights and all kinds of materials and air perspective, and just understanding how shading works at all angles. All of that is thanks to the fact that I was working in 3D for several years before I started this channel. I think it's a huge help to be able to move things around in 3D, playing around with lighting and seeing exactly how it's changing the appearance of objects, adding another sources of lighting, and just learning the geometry of the light, baking it in your head how things work, so you will be able to do that just by hand afterwards. I know it works that way because this is how I learned. It's arguably even a better thing to do than studying a lot of photos, because here you can experiment as much as you want. There are no limitations. You don't have to find a place, you just create one and move the lights around as much as you want. I mean, look at this stuff. Being able to move the lights around as much as you want is a huge deal. Like, it's the best reference you can have. And of course, we're not just gonna stop there. Not only 3D can help us, but also using color correction to make the lighting work in layers. That kind of stuff will also help. This is why I find this new series of cheating tutorials so exciting, because it explains stuff in practice, not just telling you that this is the angle it goes and this is how we make the color brighter when we add a light. I can actually show you how it happens physically in real time in many conditions and stuff like that. So yeah, I think this is a huge deal and this is what this channel should be about. Not just painting a picture after a picture, but trying to find new ways to make things better, easier, faster, and more precisely following your idea. So yeah, this is what makes me really happy right now on this channel and overall. And moving on to your guys' comments and stuff like that, I wanted to answer a couple things about Blender right here. First thing, many people in the comments said that I should try Eevee renderer, which is this, pretty much. This is the Eevee renderer. And yeah, the thing is, I tried it a lot. You actually saw me using it in every episode where Blender was appearing, when I was building up the scene or whatever. And yeah, you can turn on scene lighting and scene world and... well, do I have to explain why I don't use it? Yeah, I can play around with the settings to make sure that the lights look normal in these conditions, specifically for this renderer, but it doesn't have global illumination. It doesn't really work with all the shaders and stuff like that. Yes, it supports real-time fog, like the atmosphere effects and stuff like that. Yes, it doesn't have noise, like we're in 60 FPS looking at the scene, lit up with, like, actual shadows and stuff like that. And it is much prettier than the default view that doesn't actually support the real-time cast shadows and stuff like that. But literally, this is something that I've seen in Viewport 2.0 in Maya many years ago, and like, it's fun to play around with, but as a reference for lighting for a painting, this is almost everything that we don't need. Screen space reflections are physically incorrect, so they're not actually providing the proper geometry and they're not reflecting the whole scene. Only the stuff that appears on the screen right now can be shown as a reflection on this character that we're looking at. There's no global illumination, that means there are no actually complex reflected lights everywhere. everywhere, the way we have them in the cycles render. Yes, I was talking about that there's a lot of noise, but we're talking about the real-time view. This is more than awesome to have this kind of preview rendering rather quickly with my graphics card right now, actually. So this is a very optimized and high-performance way of looking, like previewing your final rendering. And before moving it to the painting program, we of course render it further to have a smaller amount of noise and everything, so there is no problem here. And it's never gonna be replaceable with this. This is just shaders. In here, you can get a pretty good result by spending a lot of time to make sure all of these limited shaders work nice. Just look without glitches, but it's not the actual lighting. This is not what we need. This is actually something close to what I was talking about in the video about RTX from NVIDIA, where when in games there will be fully implemented real-time ray tracing. This part, you won't need to do that. Like right now, I just set up the models and the lighting. In ray tracing, it already looks like this. Without ray tracing, it looks like this. Yes, it can look much better if you spend a lot of time playing around with these shaders so they would work better with whatever they can do, but it's a lot of time and effort for what? If you can just press a button and have the perfect physically based result. So no chance for Eevee on this channel. Like, I don't like Eevee. It's fine, it's nice to work with in real time if you just want to have things look nicely while you work, but I'm not actually gonna be using scene lights and scene world or whatever. It's just a nice replacement for a default view like this. Just a bit more screen space shadows, screen space reflections for you to have a nicer environment while you model the scene and whatever. But then when you actually need to get the final look, you press Shift-Z. And another thing that many of you guys told me in the comments is that why don't I use like Death Studio to get the high detailed model of the anatomy and then export it to Blender, which is easy to do and stuff like that, and why would I not want to use the high definition model? Well, the main reason to that is because from 3D I need a sketch. I will decide on the design of a character in 2D. It's very easy to do. It's easier than actually model it, change its proportions to make it look exactly like the character I need. I much more prefer to just quickly position this dummy that will just give me a good guidance of the geometry. Like a basic sketch when you draw the head with the cross for the eyebrows and stuff like that and you move it around. Only in here is gonna be the perfect geometry guide for me. And when you have the perfect geometry guide, you can just paint whatever you want on top of it. It's already the easier part. Details is the part that is much harder in 3D than in painting, when the perfect geometry is much easier in 3D than in painting. That's why we do the build-up, the quick, simple guide for the geometry in 3D, but after that, we get away from this because it's gonna defeat the purpose of saving our time and setting us free from the restrictions of the software. I mean, these are my thoughts at the moment. We haven't gone through the whole process even once yet. Maybe I'll change a lot of stuff in this pipeline, but for now, these are my thoughts. Maybe you will see what I'm talking about right now when we finish this painting about the Black Widow. Maybe I will see that you're right. I don't know, but for now, I just try whatever I chose to try. And next comment from the Blender users. A lot of you guys actually use Blender a lot, and you're really excited about me using it, which is awesome. Really happy to have Blenderers on this channel. I think this is really cool. And many of you guys said that this version, the 2.8 alpha, may be not the best choice of the version to work with. Because, first of all, it doesn't work all around. Some things don't work yet. Obviously, this is alpha. And also, many of you guys said that the interface is a lot worse. More than one person in the comments said that 2.8 has a very different interface and it's not good. Well, my response to that is the whole interface problem is just coming from the point of view of someone who's used to the old version. I'm not used to the old version. I like this a lot more. First of all, it's darker. Secondly, a lot of the things seem to be much easier to work with, at least to me, like dividing the windows is kind of simpler right now, and many other things, and the fact that there are no collections and groups right now, there are only collections that do everything that groups used to do, and that's kind of cool. A lot of stuff I don't even know what was different in the previous version, but I know that is definitely better here, for me as far as I know. Many cool new buttons and features all around. I really find them useful and working really well. Oh, and speaking of which, I'll repeat some of this stuff in the next episode of Black Widow process, but the filmic filter for the renderer, that someone said that it's really important to download a plugin for it to work, otherwise you'll have a very wrong sRGB gamma that is not adapted to look properly when you render pictures, like everything becomes too dark. Well, that plugin is built into 2.8. In fact, I think it's built into 2.79 as well. So it's a thing that is already here. And this is something what's Blender about. A lot of the plugins eventually become a part of a program. I don't remember where to choose that filter thing. Yeah, there we go. In Scene, there's color management, and Filmic is chosen by default now. So it's just a thing, you don't have to worry about that. If we go back to default, we'll see that everything looks very different. Like, this is Filmic, you see the soft and natural contrast of everything. I'll remove the overlay. And this is sRGB, and it has a much stronger contrast in RGB channels, and it hits really strong losses in brights and darks. You have really dark shadows and bright lights, when this is so much better. So that's what filmic color management is about. And now it's not an issue at all, Blender just works that way right away. And another thing, another plugin that you guys told me that I should be using, again, no need for plugins in Blender 2.8, the plugin of image to plane, which is something I didn't know. You can just drag a picture into the scene, and it appears as a plane with that picture right away. And when you actually render, it doesn't take part in the lighting, like it doesn't cast or receive shadows. So it's literally, if you need to like add a title in the middle of the image or something like that, that's not supposed to take part in the whole shading, this is an immediate preset to do that very easily. And yeah, that would be a much better way to use the anatomy reference than the way I did when I actually created a plane and then applied a texture with material. So yeah, this is now a really cool thing that is also built in. No need for plugins. So yeah, I'm not exactly familiar with everything yet myself, but as you can see, 2.8 has a lot of cool stuff, not to mention the implementation of principled shaders with physically perfect materials and everything. I think now it's a fully functional, easily working displacement for any shader, so that's awesome as well. That's something that was broken for a while in Blender, and now it's done very well. As far as I remember, I tried it a bit before. You look cool now. So yeah, these are all kinds of thoughts of mine on Blender. I don't know, I tried to answer as many of you guys as I can about this. And of course, I'm looking for a good 3D app on iPad to do the same thing I need for 3D guidance for painting, but without desktop. And I tried this app, it's called Sketch 3D. This is pretty much what it looks like, with a whole lot of buttons in one row right here. Here they are, a whole lot of them, not very intuitively looking, and they don't have any labels, like you have no idea what you're looking at, so the interface is not exactly perfect, like it's mostly made for the ones who already know what it is. But I mean, when you get to know it, it actually works pretty well. I don't even know how to import an object that I exported before. But yeah, iPad seems to have some decent options in here as well. Definitely not for a lighting reference, only for the geometry reference, like you'll get just a sketch with outlines to base your painting on. But of course you can't render an actual lighting in there or anything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say for now. I just wanted to make this not quick at all video to share my thoughts on everything that's been going on lately, and I just want to get back to the Black Widow process as fast as I can. So let's finish this and continue doing the painting in the nearest video. Ask me questions or just write random comments under this video for me to answer in the next video like this, or maybe in the comment section I'll answer you in text. Also, don't forget to tell me if I'm stupid about anything I said today, because I say a lot of stuff and I have no idea what I'm talking about, ever. And yeah, looking for your replies and for the next episode of cheating tutorial. And I thank you for watching. If you did, I guess you did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe, tell a friend, write that comment, do whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye! Also, happy Halloween! It's actually October 31st today. Ah,